All right. Oh, got a few minutes before I got to get to work. So let's do a first meet and greet and a thank you. I think we're at 545 subscribers to this YouTube channel. Thank you. I started this channel a couple of years ago, just kind of sharing different things that I do to help stay in recovery and continue my progress in recovering from alcoholism. I am an alcoholic. I haven't drank in over 4 years, but I still consider myself an alcoholic medically based off of the medical description of the disease. And for those of you that don't know, yes, alcoholism, so it's two words, alcoholism, is a disease that centers in the mind. Okay, it's the way that I think. And what that means is that when I drank, it gave me a sense of ease and comfort, right? That we all get, whether you're alcoholic or not. But the difference is, for me as an alcoholic, when I drink, there's a physical allergy. And any alcoholic, if you're alcoholic, has this allergy that once you start that with that first drink, whether it's a shot, a beer, whatever it might be, there's an allergy that goes off that just makes me want to have another one, and then another one, and then all of them, right? And then the second part is the part that's centered in the mind, is that when I'm not drinking as an alcoholic, I'm always thinking about it, right? So it's a twofold mental and physical disease that now I have over almost 5 years without drinking, but I still wake up with the thinking, right? So what that means for me is that I've had to shift things that I do. When I start getting a little anxious or rambunctious or whatever it might be, I've created healthy habits in my life, like exercise, meditation, eating right, getting enough sleep, choosing what I put in my body as far as what I read, what I listen to, things like that, my thinking, the people that I surround myself with. All of that is what I consider part of my recovery and the new life that I'm building for myself. With that being said, I'm being tested right now. Not necessarily, hey, let's throw Jeremy some hurdles or some roadblocks and see if he goes and drinks. But the difference is let's put Jeremy in a situation or a scenario that is similar to one in the past where he made bad decisions. And I'm talking in third person because it's the best way for me to describe this. But if you listen, I believe that we all go through cycles. It's kind of like a video game, right? You have to go through certain parts of a level. You have to achieve certain things in order to get to the next level. And if you don't, then you got to go back and start over. Or like the movie Groundhog Day, right? Where the guy woke up every morning and the same things kept happening. But then when he started doing things differently, the outcomes were different, right? And it started very gloomy, but then towards the end, he got to learn how to play the game. And to me, I'm learning that, as a 43-year-old recovering alcoholic who's now full in on sharing experiences and, building ventures that are, social good impact ventures, and just helping others. Now, I'm not perfect, by no means. But I am being tested right now, right? What that means is how am I going to show up? Who's the man that I'm going to show up as? Currently, I have a roommate and he has some health issues, and how do I show up to helping this person who I live with, right? Okay, so we got Kara, K&M, Ashley, Neiman. What's up, chat? Thanks for the likes. Thanks for the subscribes. Again, I'm just kind of sharing some of the stuff that I'm going through. And hopefully you can catch some perspective here. I appreciate the comments. I appreciate the interactions. If you guys are interested more about what I'm doing and what I'm building, there's some links on the channel notes. You can go check them out in my other social medias. Check that stuff out and check me out there. But my point is, like, we all go through it, and I want to hear in the chat, like, if you've noticed this in your different scenarios or situations. Maybe you had it at one point in your life, and you got a little bit older, and a similar situation arise, and then maybe even you just same negative patterns or same positive patterns, right? But then when you show up differently and you take different actions, now it's almost like level of a whole another level of growing and learning to do. So that's where I am, right? And it helps me. Hopefully this helps some of you guys, but this is helping me just being able to express, just kind of what I'm going through with my community that I'm building. So 545 of you have subscribed, hopefully more at the end of this. Scuba, thanks for the coat, but Zamora the goat. Shout out Zamora the goat. Shout out Ashley Neiman. Shout out K&M. Shout out Kara. Shout out Brax. I keep hitting the screen because I keep getting an error message from my phone. My phone needs to get an upgrade. All right. So, what is today? February 17th. Let's read the daily reflections. The love in their eyes. Some of us won't believe in God, others can't, and still others who do believe that God exists have no faith whatsoever. He will perform this miracle. So this is from the Alcoholics Anonymous 12-step daily reflections. Every day there's a reading and a reflection. It was the changes I saw in the new people who came into the fellowship that helped me lose my fear and change my negative attitude to a positive one. I could see the love in their eyes, and I was impressed by how much their one day at a time sobriety meant to them. They had looked squarely at step 2 and came to believe that a power greater than themselves was restoring them to sanity. That gave me the faith in the fellowship and hope that it could work for me too. I found that God was a loving God, not a punishing God. I feared before coming to AA. I also found that he had been with me during all those times. I had been in trouble before I came to AA. I know today he was the one who led me to recovery and that I am a miracle. Now, if you guys are like me, when I first started going to 12-step programs, they started talking about God and him and he and the source, and I was just kind of like, I'm not there, because I was very ego-driven. To me at that time, religion and spirituality was just something that some people needed to help them through life, but not me. But I've had a shift in mindset. I'm not religious, nor is Alcoholics Anonymous, but they use the word God. God can be the universe. God can be Jesus. God can be metaphysical fields, right? It just can't be me, a higher power, right? So with that being said, I'd love to hear from you guys in the chat. If you guys are looking to make any changes in your life, like if you're trying to get more fit, if you're trying to eat better, I want to hear, like, if you're trying to stop drinking, stop smoking, if you're whatever it might be, if you're doing great, but you just want to do better, I'd love to hear it in the chat, like what you're working on. In the meantime, I'm going to start a quick Q&A. All right, Q&A is open. I'm going to read a excerpt. White Girl Magic says, race and IQ question. Which parent's genes does it has strongest influence on the IQ of the offspring? Also, which race on average scores lowest on a high IQ test? Technically, whose fault? So I'm going to answer this probably not in how you would like. IQ test, it's outdated. We need to have something different. The IQ test isn't necessarily, it doesn't necessarily equate to a lot besides conformity. Usually it's high IQ people who aren't necessarily, it doesn't really equate, in my opinion. So, but to answer your question, like I'm not AI, I'm not a genius, so I don't know the answer. But I'm gonna take a guess. I'm gonna say it's mothers is the strongest, and then which race on average. I'm not gonna go there because I'm not gonna play the race card. But thank you for your question, White Girl Magic. Was I right? Drop it in the comments. And where did you get that question? Did you hit AI for a random question? Got a few more minutes before I gotta kind of get to work. I'm gonna let the Q&A roll for a little bit and give White Girl Magic a chance to comment. Okay. So what is it that you're working on, White Girl Magic? I believe I'm a little bit of a mentalist magician myself. It's one of the big things like that I love about recovery is that the 11th step is all about prayer/meditation. Prayer is a form of meditation. And so through meditation and tapping into, what I believe is the quantum field, which is reality, and the infinite intelligence through meditation, it's been a huge game changer. That, and I go running a couple times a week. I have a goal to do an ultra marathon. I love going trail running, things like that. So these are the things that I've done to, kind of replace what I used to spend my time doing with this. I used to be almost 200 pounds, high blood pressure. I was going to the emergency room quite often. Epigenetics and how they apply to social behavior. Well, the great thing about epigenetics is that with neuroplasticity, I believe that we have the ability to change epigenetics. And it sounds like you might be a little bit more intelligent on this topic, or you're using a generator. But I'd love to learn more about what White Girl Magic is working on. Well, which parent determines brain size? Which race on average has the smallest brain? Which is said to have the biggest brain? Okay, so I'm not going to go there either because that's playing the race card. But it sounds like you're kind of leading me somewhere. So I'd be interested to know where without going. And the truth is, even if you have a big, giant old noodle up here, does that mean that you're using all of it? No. All right, guys, this has been fun. I want to say thank you for those of you that have hit the like button, and for the new subscribers. I'll read White Girl's Magic question. Many genes related to cognitive function, memory, and learning are located on the X chromosome, which, because females have two and males only have one, women are higher influence. Bing, bing. So I was right on that. You got to give me, if you're not White Girl Magic, if you haven't hit like, you need to now because I was correct. And you also need to subscribe because I got that right. But I'm not going to answer questions related to race. Sorry. One human race is what I believe. Not too long ago, we were just stardust. Okay, so this is the chapter on tenacity. So this is a book by Gary Vaynerchuk. You guys probably know him as Gary VEE. The quality or fact of being very determined, determination. We live in a world where the word hustle has been manipulated and even demonized. To some, it means burnout and fatigue, and I'm devastated when anybody wants to associate those words with me. If you want to be successful at anything, I do believe that tenacity is essential. However, it should never come at the expense of your peace of mind and happiness. Tenacity should never equal burnout. I'm sad that some people haven't been able to separate these two words, but I have empathy for them. A lot of people view tenacity in the same way I viewed candor. Throughout my life, I've been unable to separate candor from the negative way I deployed in my life, so I avoided it completely. When I see people confuse hustle or tenacity with burnout, I'm not mad, I get it. But there's a clear difference between the two. Burnout is physical or mental collapse caused by overwork or stress. Tenacity is determination. The reason I talk about enjoying the process of achieving your ambitions is that people burn themselves out by chasing $1 million, or Mercedes Benz, a Chanel bag, or a private flight. The reason is this commonly leads to burnout is that such people are almost always trying to achieve those things for the approval of others, not for themselves. When you put yourself in a position to base your happiness on outside validation and on material proxies of success, you will always, and I mean always, be on the cusp of burnout. This is why I try to communicate that these can't be the goals we put on a pedestal.